Welcome to Dungeon Master. This is episode 12, or Dungeon 12, excuse me. Level 12, but it's actually what we all know. What are we on? Level 45 at the top and level not so bad, 27 on bottom. Well, this will give you 2 levels up, but you will only receive them if you go through the book. And these are the rarest books that I have gone to the end of the world to find the greatest of all French films in a period that no one knows where to track down into the movies, compared to what goes on daily in Prague, which is so obscene and ludicrous that it's the greatest science on earth. First, we must dungeon battle into this book. It's not even written by English. It's written in, is that Latin? No, it's French. It's French, and it's so dense a French language that they bunch their lines up like this may make me think Cyrene and Artemis or Cyrene and Paula are all these books to a greater expression that we can only read if we put in the translator over the top of this, but then you'll be reading my dialogue, and that's not the reason I definitely would not try to copyright this book. But that we have pictures too, and we're starting to recognize people, and suddenly we see that the only way to tell this story is through the pictures. The films that we would do, oh, there's 400 blows. We have seen 400 blows coming to this page, which means this is before 1960 at this point, because we all know it won at Cannes Film Festival in 1959, when every French New Wave film that ran won at Cannes Film Festival. This is my Honor. Jean Rouch I've heard of, but looks interesting. Oh, we're lagging over into that end of the world space. I wish we wouldn't have seen those pictures. That was Night and Fog. Oh no, we're totally going to be blasted for being a comedy show. Well, there's no humor in the Holocaust, I will admit to the censors, because we've never ever used it as a joke. But the French apparently aren't afraid to show it. So if we're going to go down as a comedy show, which we can be, we're not going to comment on anything about that other than, whoa, disturbing what you can find in a French book, even though it is a picture of a reality not as bad as saying, like, Schindler's List doesn't have way worse in it. But is there a way to not censor a film that has that in America? We'll find out. Anyways, we go down to here and we see interesting objectives. They're finally getting out of the war and into the 1960s. Claude Chabrol featured here. This is just making me want to pillage through this and see if any of it's going to cut together. This is interesting. Well, this whole page is filled with Claude Chabrol, who I'm not even caught up on yet. I've only seen about 20 of his films, the Criterion ones specifically, and these are all such rare cinema. The Bond film is a little more familiar. Claude Chabrol. Have seen it, have seen Les Cousins. Here's one we all remember from the last time we got scathed by the page we were on. Only this one's good. My friend Jean-Luc Godard died last year, and that wasn't even the director Jean-Luc Godard, so check it out. He's the one that made Contempt with Brigitte Bardot, only looking like a raging misogyny fest. It's not. It's about the exact opposite thing. That a movie star can make it as a woman during a realm where the producer and director are trying to sleep with her. One thinks he's entitled to because he's married to her. The producer does because he's a producer. And that everyone else wants to make love to her isn't the thing that's unfeminist about it. The thing that's feminist about it, on the other hand, is that she uses her woman power to get through everything, but like Godard always casts his true feminist females that bear all sometimes, but do it for the greater good of there being a godlike movie star, which France believes in godlike movie stars. So let us move on, for we have seen something that has led us to Prague. And in Prague, we have the end of the world. And because we have the end of the world, we have the first picture we're open to, which is a normal walk through the park in Prague, if you ask me. That's actually current day dress as to how they wear their booty call outfits. This is interesting because it's a statue of apparently nothing at all that looks human quite a bit. Why the picture looks animated in this photo is because I'm using an extremely high polygraph camera to test any one of these images. Now, if you don't think Dungeon Master went to great lengths to smuggle these books out of France and Prague, and which used to be the Czech Republic, which used to be the damn Soviets, and I can't even use a joke about that. No one's allowed to joke about anything anymore. But this looks humorless. I mean, what is this, an area of the Sphinx? Is this a real place in Egypt? And that Prague's not that far from Egypt makes me wonder why we would flash back to a sudden scene in a tavern where everyone's recklessly playing bard songs and doing dungeon master things in their sleep. This is a shark that used to chase me around the beaches of San Bernardino. When I was going to collect another PhD so I could be Dungeon Master of Wizard of the Coast, and then that way Wizard of the Coast would say, "We may not air this episode, who would?" And then I say, "Well, that might be my clearance to aim this episode to where we probably will get it passed on some venue or other." Now that the show's taken so many risks to bring you the shark I took down, I won't tell you about the adventure I had. This is what the movie Jaws was based on. Now, if you look at this robot, you'll see that it isn't not only a robot that doesn't look Johnny Five. We're almost sure that this robot is not a robot at all, which is why I have to come back over here. I feel like there's this cinema guy I know that feels like he's seen these movies, and he forced me to Dungeon Master games to watch more movies than him. That I did not watch more movies than Youngblood, the literary critic, proves that I was never there. But look at this. All films I haven't heard of. Masculine and Feminine Godard. I've suddenly heard of you. Yeah, one of those ones that goes down in history for being My Life to Live, mixed with Pierre de Fou, and in black and white. That's so beautiful. Anna Karina is so beautiful in that movie. Breathless. I'm going to have to choke one back. I'm crying just from these pictures. These pictures are making me tear up. I must turn a page. I don't know who you are, but this you're so close to Godard in this book is absolutely amazing. Oh, I think I'm going to have a film attack. Francois Truffaut and Robert Hossein. Well, if these are new waivers that are required to be seen, then I must not be a new waiver, because I've never seen half the shiznit. Francois Truffaut in French? There's a Francois Truffaut book in French? That he's not an American director is true. That I thought all his books were translated to England. I smuggled it off the sign is where I got this book. I smuggled it off the sign and ran. I had to sneak it through absinthe and weed-ridden countries to make it back to have nightmares all the time. Would I go back and do it again for a book like this? I don't fucking have to. I did it once. Leave me alone. Le jeté. We need to take a Dungeon Master moment to realize this is something we're going to be talking about on rare occasions and not so rare occasions. That, my friend, the professor, will cover these films again is certain. But this says, will these films ever exist again is uncertain. By the way, I hold no record against Dungeon Master's loss against approving all the way for the Sorbonne, which we have unregrettably not spent 12 years at.